In my last video, I was talking about possibly remortgaging my property in the UK. I've put a pin in that for now because I can't actually withdraw much money out of the property. The interest rate is going to be super high, which means my monthly payments are going to be more than the rental income I get currently. So I've had to really think long and hard. Do I want to keep this property and still be a UK landlord? And one of the biggest reasons that I'm being put off and thinking actually I should just sell is because of the Renters' Rights Act. Now I know a lot of people are feeling the same as me. I've done some videos on my social media channels where I've just kind of expressed how I feel about it, my personal opinion. It's nice to see there's other landlords that feel the same as me. And I've been given a few little tips and, you know, people give me advice and telling me what they're doing, which has been amazing. There's like a big community of UK landlords out there that are not happy with these changes. And, you know, they're all selling up. So now that's pushed me more towards the road of I should sell my property. But before I do that, because obviously being in real estate, you've got to look at all the options, right? If I sell my property in the UK, I will bring all the money to Dubai and invest in a property here. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be investing in a property that I will live in myself, or I'll invest in a property that I will then rent out again. So I have to do a comparison, right, of what the rules are as a UK landlord and what the rules are as a Dubai landlord, especially with these new Renters' Rights Act. So this is what I learned so far. Let's get into it. The first thing I'm not happy about is that there's no more fixed term tenancies. Before, you know, there'll be fixed term tenancies of 6 months, 12 months. My tenants were always on 12 months with a rolling monthly contract. Now that's great for the tenants I have right now, but if they leave tomorrow and I have a new tenant, they can move in and they can give just 2 months notice. So in theory, they could move in and leave every 2 months. I could have a new tenant in theory every 2 to 3 months. That doesn't give me any guarantees in that my rent is covered for the next 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is. And I need that reassurance whilst I'm living in another country paying bills here, because my rent in the UK is covering my mortgage there, right? Now in Dubai, we have 12 months tenancy, 6 months tenancy. You have a start date, end date. Rent's often paid upfront or post-dated checks. So you know what income to expect during that period of time. If I want to do monthly rental, that's Airbnb. I don't want to do that because that's obviously risky. Obviously it generates more money, but it's more risky. No fault evictions. In the UK, you can only evict people if they have got antisocial behaviour, rent arrears, but the rent arrears, you've got to wait like 4 months before you can actually evict them, and it has to go through court and all that stuff. Again, very costly situation. Whereas in the UAE, you can evict someone with 12 months notice. So what a lot of people do is the day the tenancy starts, if you think you may be selling your property later on, issue the notice on the day one. And it works really well. It has to be notarized, but the costs are nothing like they are in the UK. If you give notice to your tenants to say, you need to leave because I'm selling the property, in the UK, if the sale fell through, you would have to wait 12 months before you could re-let the property. Now in the UAE, it's actually 2 years, because it's to protect the tenants at the end of the day. But I don't think I would be doing that. So that part doesn't really bother me. It bothers me in the UK right now, because if I give notice to my tenants and I don't sell the property, then I've got to wait 12 months before I can even re-let the property, so I'm out of money. This decision cannot be made lightly. You're at risk of having no one renting your property for 12 months. Rental bidding wars. In the UK, that's not allowed anymore. You can only rent at the market price. So you can't accept offers or anything like that. You can't give preference to someone that's willing to pay more. In the UAE, that definitely happens and there's no laws against it. If someone's willing to pay a little bit more or on better terms, the landlord can go ahead with that person. It's about what works out better for you as a landlord. Rental increases. In the UK, you can now increase the rent once a year, which is fair. In Dubai, you can increase the rent with a 90-day notice period, but it has to be in line with the RERA rent calculator, which means basically it stays within market value and not like inflated and overpriced. Upfront rent. Now in the UK, that's been changed to you can only take 1 month's rent upfront. In the UAE, that's just total opposite. We normally pay rent upfront. It could be in 1 check, 2 checks, 4 checks, whatever it might be. And they're post-dated checks. For example, I pay in 4 checks. That means every quarter, my landlord gets 3 months rents up front. It's just a standard thing here. They are changing it to monthly rentals now, but still a lot of people are happy to pay 1 check, 4 checks, 6 checks, because that's just the way it works here. So as a landlord, it's great because you get a lot of the money up front. Pets and discrimination. This is the bit I really don't like about the Renters' Rights Act. So now you cannot discriminate against pets or people on benefits without reasonable reasons. Now, what is a reasonable reason to decline someone? I personally don't want pets in the house because it's going to cause damage, majority of the time. I definitely don't want someone on benefits because I want working people in my house, simple as. And I have every right to say that. I paid for the house, I bought the house. In Dubai, it doesn't work that way. One, we don't have people on benefits. Everyone here is working, everyone here is earning money, otherwise they would not be applying for a property. And secondly, we can say no to pets. There's no discrimination against it. If you don't want a pet in there, it's not a problem. But actually, pets are not so much of a problem here because a lot of the floors are tiled, so you don't get all the issues you would get in the UK with like properties that are carpeted, etc. I've said this before on my socials. I don't want to sound like I'm discriminating against people on benefits. However, as I've said before, I worked 3 jobs to buy my house. When I was renting for 13 years before buying my house, I did have options of social housing, but I was very low on the priority. So I had to go privately rent. This is how I feel my house should be treated. For people that are not priority on a social landlord's register, they have my house to come to and they will have a good landlord to look after them. Because what about us working people? I don't want people on benefits because unfortunately, they do not respect your property the same way someone working would because they're bothered about their credit rating, etc. because they're trying to get on the property ladder, whatever. It's not to say that people on benefits don't look after properties, but in my experience and all the landlords in my comments, it just comes with no end of antisocial behaviour and rental arrears. I'm sorry to the tenants that are not like that, but just like me, I'm not a rogue landlord, but I'm getting classed as a rogue landlord just because I don't want to have certain people living in my house. The compliance and certificates. As a UK landlord, we need to provide EPC, gas safety certificate, electrical safety certificate. And we've got the EPC changes coming soon. So where if your property needs to be above a C rating, I believe. Now I'm lucky in that mine's a B rating. However, my EPC is expiring next year, but I think I can do that at a minimal price. Like I don't think I need to do any works to my house. However, this is something I need to consider for later on. If these EPC regulations change, because I know they're trying to get rid of gas central heating and they want to do more air source heat pumps because I don't want people using fossil fuels, which I understand, but it's costly. I know they're giving grants, but I've got to take all this stuff into consideration for how I'm gonna benefit the most financially, because this is what this is about, right? So this is my pension part. So take a step back. In the UAE or in Dubai, we don't do gas safety certificates, we don't do electrical safety certificates, and we don't do EPCs. So that is a massive benefit on the Dubai side. Maintenance and repairs, a big one. Now me as a landlord, I take full responsibility for repairs and maintenance in my house in the UK. Because when the tenants are paying rent, they should have a safe and secure house, right? A tenant in the UK doesn't really have to do much repairs and maintenance other than the usual little, they change their own light bulb, maybe fix a little thing here and there, but majority of the maintenance, they will ring the landlord and get the landlord to do everything. In the UAE and Dubai, it's very different. If there's minor repairs that are to the value of about 500 to 1,000 dirhams, it's actually the tenant who pays for it. So the tenant pays for the first 500 to 1,000 dirhams, depending on what it says in your tenancy. After that, then it is the landlord's responsibility. Also, when you leave the property, it is usual practice that you repaint the whole property and put it back to its original state in order to get your deposit back. Now in the UK, there's this whole thing about wear and tear, like, oh no, you know, I've been living here for 5 years, you've got to expect this and that, and you know, it's just very different. In the UAE and Dubai, it's very much that you're the tenant, you can treat the house as your own, but you need to give it back in the same condition. If a tenant does not pay their rent and it leads to eviction, in the UK, the rule is you're going to have 3 months arrears. Now bear in mind, if they are on benefits and the benefits have not been paid because of government error, that's not an arrear. So, okay, 3 months arrears, then you can start court proceedings, and then by the time it gets to court, it's got to be 4 months arrears. Then you go through the court process. This stuff can take up to like 6 to 12 months. I've been getting comments from other landlords saying people have been living in my house rent-free for 12 months. That's crazy. In Dubai, after 1 month of no payment, you can start proceedings for eviction. This process actually all takes 3 to 4 months. So you could get your property back in 3 to 4 months and not a whole year. Yeah, it's still a long period, but obviously things have got to be done in a certain way. Only got to give time for things to be resolved. You've got to give it a chance to get resolved on a more human level, have a chat, have a conversation. In the UAE and Dubai, the way it would work is after 1 month's rent arrear, you can start proceedings. So usually the tenant will be evicted within 3 to 4 months as opposed to the whole 1 year. But usually this is kind of resolved like face to face on a better human to human level and doesn't really require the government to be involved. Tax. Now we know in the UK, we tax on tax on tax on tax on tax, right? So in my circumstance, I have to pay tax on my rental income. That's gone up by 2%. If I do sell my property, I've got a hefty capital gains tax bill that I'm gonna have to pay. And then on top of that, if I don't sell my property and I leave it to a family member, then we've got the inheritance tax to think about. There's just like tax on everything. We know this in the UK, it's just how it operates. Let's just make it simple. In Dubai and the UAE, no tax on anything. So these are all the factors that I have been taking into consideration when deciding if I want to continue being a UK landlord or should I sell up and bring my money to Dubai. Now, for me, the risks are just not worth the risks anymore. If my tenant in the UK did not pay the rent and I have to go through the whole eviction process, I would have to have about £5,000 in rent arrears before I could even start the court proceedings. That's a lot of money. Like, I can't afford to be out of pocket £5,000 and I'm still paying rent and bills and everything for my life here in Dubai. It's a lot. I don't have that surplus cash, okay? The other thing is I mentioned before about the mortgage. So the interest rates are going up. I'm gonna have to pay towards the mortgage. The rent's not gonna cover the mortgage anymore. So none of it's making sense to me. The EPCs are changing. I'm lucky that my EPC for my house is a B. So I don't think I'm gonna have to really do much other than renew it next year. But if they do put in these new changes and they say, right, okay, to meet a rating B, you need to replace your gas central heating with an air source heat pump. That's gonna cost thousands. Ultimately, what I'm thinking is, if I kept renting out my house for another 2 years, say I got a fixed rate for 2 years, how much money would I make in those 2 years? The capital appreciation, the rental income, it's not gonna be as high as it would be in Dubai. So this is where I'm at today. I'm still thinking about it. I am leaning a lot more towards, I think I need to sell my house and bring my money here. Because I see this every day, right? I see every day in Dubai, in the UAE, people are making money, people are getting capital appreciation, people are getting rental income, I'm not paying no tax on it, and it's all going in the back pocket. I would be a fool not to follow that same journey. Let's see where we go. I'll be back with another update in a few weeks.